Alright guys, I'm doing a video tutorial on how to give Bulbasaur his spots using a distress ink. I also used this one to give him some blushing on his nose right here, and it's pretty faint. I'm gonna go back over it with you guys so you can visually see. So first, for the blushing, you're going to need a larger brush. I got light colored clean paintbrushes for y'all so you can see how much ink I'm using. This one is also a flat one, and we're going to use a smaller one for the spots just so we can be a bit more precise. Okay, so I have majority of his spots done because I wanted to make sure that it was a good technique before I decided to go and make a video, and that I was very accustomed and used to it before teaching you guys how to do it. So he's only missing one spot, and it's about right here, which you can look at a lot of different pictures of him, and there's a ton of different ways to do his spots. The head one is generally the same. So looking at him, I think he's a little bit naked right here. He's a little bit naked over here. Here, we'll do a spot over here on his thigh. So I'm gonna take the ink and pretty drastically saturate my brush. And I know this is super scary, especially after you spent so many hours. Trust me, I was terrified when I started doing this. So I understand. What I did and what I recommend you do is make a square swatch and practice on the square swatch before you get into this. Another thing you can use is a piece of cardboard. I'm using the edge of my beading elastic to make the shape. So he has a lot of rhombuses and diamonds, and squares. So he has triangles, rhombuses, squares, and diamonds. I'll do a funky shaped rhombus just to give a good example. So I'm pressing the cardboard up against and swiping back and forth pretty vigorously with a medium amount of pressure to get that line. So we're gonna make the outline of our spot first. Gonna go back in. So I'm gonna give him a little funky rhombus shape over here. Add some character. And again, the spots move throughout the show. It was pretty frustrating actually to try to figure out the exact map of his spots. But in the end, I just decided I'm gonna do the general idea of where his spots go and what shapes they are in general and go with it. The only spots that don't move too much, like I said, are the ones on his forehead. Other than that, all the other ones are pretty random. Sometimes there'll be a rectangle, sometimes there'll be a diamond, sometimes there'll be a triangle in all of the same spot. So but I would say this ink is actually pretty forgiving. I mean, you're never going to be able to like erase, but you can always make it bigger, if that makes sense. So I got my guidelines of like a little hexagon. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got a little hexagon going right here. So after I have all my lines, I'm just gonna paint it in and keep going in my ink and brushing those hair fibers around. And it seems a lot less daunting now after we get the outline. But yeah, you make your Bulbasaur have however many spots you like. You can make a nude Bulbasaur if you like, with no spots, and I think everyone would still know it's a Bulbasaur after you put his little ball. I think I'm gonna time lapse the rest for you guys. A warning for if you're using this ink, it's pretty potent, so you're going to want to use a light hand with this one. Or at least I do. I don't like to have my blush looking crazy, so we're going to lightly, we're not going to super saturate it like we did with the spots. You can see how bright that is. And I'm going to stipple just lightly over his nose and across his eyes until, and I'm going to do this process pretty slowly because I don't want it to look like he is sunburnt. I want it to look like he's sleeping and he's cute and he's got a cute little blush going on. Original Bulbasaur does not have blush anyway, so this is not a necessity, but I figured I would show you guys the way I did it anyway, just in case you liked the look. Sorry for the dog hair. This is my own personal Bulbasaur. Don't be alarmed. So I'm happy with that. If you would like more pink and it to be more blushy, you are more than welcome to add more blush to him as much as you'd like. Just to add on these a little bit, do not stress on them, the placement of them. There are 1,000 pictures of Bulbasaur out there. Your head shape might be slightly different than my head shape, and that is okay. That being said, the outlines of these, I will add the photos for reference that I used for all of his spots, but keep in mind they move throughout the character's history. It is not, I don't think that any Pokemon fanatics are going to come after you if you add blush to his nose, or at least I hope not, or an extra spot or two where the original Bulbasaur might not have, like this one, for example, that we did together. That one might not be on every Bulbasaur model that you see. A lot of these might not be. I know he has one on his booty, he has one right here, sometimes he has two right here, sometimes he has 2 or 3 right here. And of course, this is before I add the arms and legs. You will also see some spots on his arms and legs, but I brought the body out specifically to show you something large that we can do this with. And you can see I'm rubbing it. Nothing moves around. If you don't like those little white spots, you can always go into those with the brush again. But yeah, that is how I blush Bulbasaur, and that is how I added his spots. If you are uncomfortable with this and you would not like to do it, by all means do not. You can always embroider these spots, which I will show on my micro Bulbasaur. Here's his little cousin. These are embroidered on with crochet thread, and you can use crochet thread if that's what you like. You can use acrylic, you can use a separate color in Little Bunny, you can use Parfait Chunky, anything that you'd like that you're more comfortable with, that is totally fine. The embroidery works perfect. It doesn't really move around. It's, you know, I just really wanted to add a little flair to our big guy here. Look at the size difference. That's amazing. Anyway, well, thank you for purchasing the pattern, and if you need any help, questions, or tips, you can always DM me on Instagram or comment, and I will be more than happy to help you along the process of making this big guy. Thank you so much.